Hey guys, just finished watching Legend of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 10, Daddy Darkness. This episode was a great episode. It was a really cool episode having John Constantine joining the show, and it seems to me that it looks like the ending kind of sets up for maybe him returning. It doesn't really kind of cut him off, where they're like, oh, he's not going to be returning, but there is that possibility to return, so I think I like the way they're doing it. And I really feel like the way they're setting this up is they're having him, first they had him over on Arrow type thing, that was everything, just to tease a fan, that did very well, and now they're having him here over on Legends. Then they're doing the animated show, which he's just finishing up, if I'm not mistaken. There's just some interviews or something that I saw there saying that he's almost done the voiceover for the cartoon, for the CWC place, and I really think that they're setting this up to kind of have him on here, see how the ratings do for this one episode, see if anyone watches this show just for this one episode, see if the rating spikes up, and then kind of go from here, and then do the cartoon, see how much people watch the cartoon, and then go from there to see if they want to bring him on to the show. That could be really cool, or set up his another show, which I wouldn't really do. There's so many other DC shows to watch right now, so many Marvel shows and DC shows, so much competition. I just think you bring him into this show, and it's really cool seeing him deal with all these characters, and it's not just John Constantine. It really stands out, makes the Legends show stand out as compared to other superhero shows. It makes John Constantine stand out compared to other horror and magic and mystical arts and shows like it stands out in comparison to their other CW supernatural shows. So I think it's really going to be cool to see where things go with all that. So let's get into the list here. List of things that happened. The first thing that happened at the beginning of the episode was that there's a demon. How John finds out there's a demon that told John Constantine Sarah Lance's name type thing, and that's when he's like, oh really? And then he went off to do that. I thought there was going to be some sort of connection to her as being set up as from when there was being set up from when Arrow, when she came back in Arrow to the beginning of this show. I think it was last season on Arrow, or a few seasons ago on Arrow. They had to bring her back from the dead type thing, and they did that with the Lazarus pit, and then she was possessed, and they had to have John Constantine bring her back and stuff. That was really cool. So I guess there was some kind of leftover stuff, and that's how the demon knew about her. They didn't really make that clear whether or not if it was because of that, but that was cool. And then then Sarah tells Constantine about Mullis. That was quite interesting to see that and how that played along. And then Leo tells Sarah about Ava, that Ava kind of likes her. And obviously, we've seen that kind of set up, and that was really kind of thrown in our face. A lot really is obvious about that in this episode. Before it was just kind of there, now it's just kind of really there. So it was interesting to see that. Although it doesn't really go anywhere in this episode, it is really kind of heavily prominent in the episode, whatever it is in this episode. So that was interesting with that, to see where that relationship will continue on and how things will go with that. And then we get the demon, find out the young demon is actually Sarah Dark. And as I realized it, and I was watching the actress and stuff, comparing it to the actress who's playing an older Sarah Dark and stuff, that is really, really good at casting. They really look like it really looks like a younger version of her. It was really well done with that there. And then Mullis as Sarah Dark as Mullis, with Mullis inside of Sarah Dark's body, sends Sarah, Constantine, and Leo Snart to 1969. Where they're hanging out there, and they try to have her stuck there. Then Mick gets taken and then Mick takes charge. Mick Rory takes charge because he just spends the whole episode watching football. That is kind of weird for him. He doesn't really do that. Don't really set him up as doing anything like that. So that could be cool. And then we see Leo get taken by the doctors, but that goes nowhere. They just find him again, and that's it. Nowhere with that. I thought there was going to be a whole setup with him, with the doctors and all that thing. That was going to be a whole thing, but it wasn't, which I guess was okay. There's a lot going on in this episode. Then we get Constantine. He gives Sarah a card with like a two black and white birds on there, or black and silver. Who knows what that is? I guess it's some sort of magic card. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. I don't know anything about the Constantine too much in the comics, so I really don't know if that's anything from the comics. Is that anything to do with Constantine, or anything to do with Dr. Fate? Which I'd love to see Dr. Fate on here. I think it would be really cool, since Constantine is in this show. Dr. Fate is kind of in this show, but if you go back to the first episode of Constantine, there's the Dr. Fate helmet, which is actually a prop that they made for Smallville. Since Dr. Fate was on that, they probably just used that and put it in the background shot as an Easter egg type thing. So maybe they could eventually one day set that up and use Dr. Fate maybe in a crossover event or something like that. I think that could be really cool, especially once they hopefully they decide to bring Constantine full time into the show. One of the big season crossovers could involve something to do with Constantine and magic, and which would be something they've never done before. It would be another whole realm to do, and it could involve Dr. Fate type thing. Someone has to put on the helmet, type of thing. Like what happens if Supergirl puts on the helmet of Naboo with the Dr. Fate helmet? What happens if Oliver is just a human, or Flash, he already has extra powers, or I guess we're never going to get to find out. But if a firestorm, if we could ever get another firestorm, which I don't think we will, and I think I'd like to stay a while from that. But if anyone with powers, Supergirl, a Kryptonian, from a different Earth, what if she puts on Dr. Fate's helmet? What happens with that? That could be a really cool idea to play with. But that's a long ways away. So I think bringing in John Constantine could open up so much more stuff. And we already have by introducing him, but bringing him on full time and setting things up like that and using his powers, I think it'd be really cool. And bringing in all kinds of different, more new aspects to the show that I really like. And I really like where they're going with this. So, and then we get Constantine and Sarah hooking up type thing. That was quite interesting to that. I didn't see that one going anywhere. I remember hearing rumors about what kind of story and where things were going with that and relationships, and I thought it was kind of Constantine and Leo, and they're like, okay, they're gonna make Constantine gay type thing, which is not a bad idea, but it just doesn't fit with the character in my opinion. And of course they didn't make him gay, they just made him hook up with Sarah type thing, and that was, I guess, the promo photos set that up. It would kind of tease that, and they kind of went in the completely opposite direction. So that was kind of cool with that. Not that it would have been a good, bad or anything like that. Like I said, just didn't seem like it would fit the character. So I thought that was weird, but it was cool the way they surprised us with the Sarah hookup and everything. That was quite interesting with that, quite fun. And then we see this whole other storyline with Vixen and her great-granddaughter, her evil great-granddaughter. I forget, not Mari, but not Mari, the one who's in the cartoon and stuff, but the actual her rival type thing. Can't think of her name, but the water one. And that was quite interesting with that. They kind of freeze her up, and that's how they keep her in her chambers and keep her in custody type thing. And then we get Sarah wants to summon Mullis into her body, and she ends up doing that. And while she's doing that, later on, she gets to talk to Sarah. While Mullis has taken over Sarah Dark's body, Sarah and Sarah, the two Sarahs, Sarah Dark and Sarah Lance, are able to talk inside of the I'm not sure what kind of realm they're going to call that, but the demon dimension or whatever you want to call that, demon place. And that was kind of cool seeing them talk with that, and they're able to talk at different places like that. I really think it's going to be cool to see where they're going with all this and seeing different characters like that. I would definitely like to see characters from the Constantine show brought in. I think that would be really cool to do that. I don't know if they're allowed to do that. They've only maybe got the right, made a deal with NBC or whatever to kind of bring them together. We'll have to wait and see. If they bring him on, can they bring other characters like Zed and that other guy? I can't think of his name. But there's only like two main characters on that show other than Constantine. There's only two other characters who were current, recurring type thing. So maybe they could bring them in. We'll have to wait and see how things go with that. So it was cool with that, seeing how that went with Sarah having the Mullis in her body. And then we get Amaya. Amaya starts thinking that her ancestor, when she had that vision a while back, she had the vision with her ancestor talking about, protect the one with the totem, and she thought it was talking about, I can't think of what's her name. I can't think of her name. Is her name here? She thought it was talking about Zari Tomei, but she's starting to think now that it maybe she was talking about her great-granddaughter, the evil one type of thing. That could be really cool, playing with that and see what she's talking about watching over her great-granddaughter and seeing where that's going to go and how that's going to affect things. I think it's really going to be fun to see that. And then we get Amaya. Amaya lets her great-granddaughter out. She unthaws him type thing, and then they start talking and stuff. That was quite interesting with that. What else do we have? I think Damien takes his young daughter back. That was quite interesting. Obviously, we had to set that up. They were going to just bring her everything, because if the Legends got young Sarah Dark, then it would kind of reset everything and all the problems would be gone and there'd be no more problems type thing. But Damien obviously had to take his daughter back and turn her to keep her on the dark path, keeping himself alive, keeping the whole season alive type of thing. So that was cool with that. And then Mullis said something was talking about the 6 items type thing when he was talking to Jari type thing, and so that's going to be cool to see where that goes. And setting with that, that sets off John Constantine to go looking for some other items, and so he's going on his own path, but they're kind of still doing the same thing, and they're still working they both have their end goal. They're both fighting like John Constantine right now is fighting Mullis, and so is a Legend fighting Mullis at the same time, and they're also fighting Damien Dark. So I think that's really cool with that. That they're kind of still doing the same thing, although John Constantine's not going to be on the show. We're going to get a few episodes without him. He might be gone doing his own thing, but they're still kind of fighting the same thing. I think that's really cool to see that, and so hopefully we get to keep the Legends playing with that, or keep the Legends playing with Mullis, and keep the dark stuff, and keep the magic and the supernatural theme within the show. I really like what they're doing with that. I think that's really cool, and having it a superhero, supernatural thing makes it so much different than anything else, than supernatural or something, anything we've seen before on TV. It's anything that I've seen on TV, so I like the way they're doing that. Having the different superheroes involved is really cool to do that too. So it's really cool seeing that. And then Constantine tells Ray to watch out for Sarah because she still has a connection, saying that he tells Ray that he Sarah still has a connection to Mullis does this connection to her, even though she doesn't want to admit it, type thing. So that's really going to be cool to see where that goes, and where things go with that, and if that is the setup, or if they leave that thread there just so they could pull it forward to bring Constantine back. I think that could be really cool for that there, and have that going. And then Leo leaves to get married, and then we find out Hunter's escaped. That could be cool to see where things go with Hunter escaping, but I think if we go into next week's episode with him, leaving, he's escaped, and then they put him back in by the next episode, didn't that really do anything for the season? It doesn't really change anything, doesn't really do anything. It just kind of, you take this episode out, he never left, he's back in. We go into episode 11, he's out, end of it, he's back in. By episode 12, he's in prison. So if you skip it, doesn't matter, he's back in, type thing. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see where things go with that. Based on the trailer for that, it looks like it's some sort of time loop thing that could be fun doing with that. Hopefully it just doesn't be a filler episode where they're just dealing with this time loop thing and they don't find Hunter, or they don't do anything dealing with Hunter, or dealing with Mullis, or dealing with Damien Dark and his daughter Sarah Dark. So it's really Sarah Dark. So it's really going to be fun to see where things go with that. It kind of looks a little bit like there's a potential for a filler episode with that. But we'll have to wait and see. So hopefully they can play again with Constantine. I really like the way they used him. It's really fun seeing all that, seeing like the supernatural thing and mixing with the superhero. It's really different than anything else before. I think it's really going to be cool to see where things go with all this, and I really can't wait to see more of where things go with this. And I definitely would love to see, by bringing Constantine in, how they would use him during the crossovers and stuff. I think that could be really cool to see that. I think it'd really be fun. There's so much stuff to go around. I think it'd be quite interesting to see that, especially if someone, like I said, with different things that are set up over on Constantine in that show, if they could bring elements from that, I think it'd be really cool for that. Like I said, the Dr. Fate helmet. I think I'm not mistaken, there's also the head of Swamp Thing was also an Easter egg in the Constantine pilot, if I'm not mistaken. I think I got to rewatch that. It's been a while since I've watched it, but that could be cool to set those things up, or bring some of those Easter eggs over, and I think that could be cool. Maybe even seeing his house, his place. I think if I get the name of his house, or if I got to rewatch the 13 episode just to see where that's at, type thing. But it could be cool to bring different things over from his show if they brought him on permanently. I feel like they probably can't at this point, because we've had him on Arrow, we've had him here. We'll have to wait and see how much he gets, what happens to him on the cartoons. Although the cartoon is totally different. It's Constantine, but it's going to be interesting to see if that cartoon is taking place, connected to the Arrowverse. Is it going to be this, does that cartoon on CWC take a place just after this? Is it going to continue this Mullis storyline? Is that where we're going to go follow him when we get to the cartoon? Or is this going to connect to, because we got the same actor, Matt Ryan, who plays Constantine in this show. He also voiced Constantine in the Justice League Dark cartoon with had Batman, all kinds of different characters, and Swamp Things, and all kinds of characters like that. But that's definitely not connected to this type of thing. So it could be cool to see where things go with that. If that is that Constantine a continuation from that Justice League Dark movie? I feel like not, just because it's not as heavily publicized. It's not as they're not advertising it as much as they are the dark movies or the cartoons that they put all the money into. And those cartoons, I think they had all the actors go to Comic-Con type thing, New York Comic-Con, to promote it, whereas this cartoon, they're not doing anything like that. They're barely even promoting these things. They never really promote Vixen too much. They put out a trailer and that's it, and they really don't put too much into it type thing. In promotion-wise, at least, you don't see it as much as the direct-to-DVD cartoons. So it's really going to be fun to see where things go with this and where things kind of lay off, and how the show, if it connects to this or if it connects to the Justice League Dark cartoon. I'd hope that it would connect to this and continue on this storyline to maybe leave some sort of continuous storyline to where he's going. I think that could be really cool. Just connect some of that and see where things go and see who is able to go into that show. If you're able to have characters from the Constantine show in that, I feel like they probably could, and how things kind of continue on. So hopefully that show can really connect to this. We'll have to wait and see where things go with that. It'll really be fun to see how that show connects. So hopefully try and watch that. Try and look online to see when the show is supposed to premiere. I'm not sure if there's a date yet, but we'll have to wait and see if we can see that. I'm definitely going to be rewatching that rewatching the Constantine show before the cartoons come out on CWC. And for when that show does come out, I'll probably just review it all as one once all the episodes come out, because whenever they put out 5-minute episodes, it's never enough. And I'll just review it all in one shot, in one video, because they just film like a movie that they put out and they chop it up into 5-minute bits, which is never enough to kind of review. So that's how I'll be reviewing that. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode after I rambled on. What do you think about it, and what do you think about having Constantine, and how much would you like to see Constantine join as a full-time member of the Legend of Tomorrow? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.